How did my sister's wedding turn into a crime scene in under 20 minutes? My sister Emma was standing at the altar, saying her vows when I noticed her groom Tyler kept checking his watch. Not casually, but obsessively, like every 30 seconds. His best man Jake was sweating through his suit despite the air conditioning being set to Arctic levels in the church. I was sitting in the third row next to my parents, and something about the whole scene felt wrong in a way I couldn't pinpoint. Tyler's groomsmen were huddled in the back corner of the church, whispering urgently to each other instead of watching the ceremony. One of them, a guy named Marcus, kept stepping outside to make phone calls, and I could see him through the stained glass windows pacing frantically. Emma looked beautiful and completely oblivious to whatever was happening with Tyler's side of the wedding party. She was crying happy tears while reading her vows about loving him forever. Tyler's responses sounded robotic, like he was reading from a script he barely remembered, and his eyes kept darting toward the church entrance every few seconds. The officiant asked if anyone objected to the marriage, and Tyler's mom actually stood up. Everyone gasped, but she just said she needed air and rushed out of the church. Tyler's dad followed her immediately, leaving their seats empty in the front row. Emma noticed and looked confused, but the officiant kept going with the ceremony. Right as they were about to exchange rings, Jake's phone started buzzing loudly in his pocket. He pulled it out, looked at the screen, and went completely white. He leaned over and whispered something in Tyler's ear that made Tyler freeze mid-sentence. Emma asked if everything was okay, and Tyler said yes, but his voice cracked. The church doors burst open and 3 guys in suits walked in fast, scanning the crowd like they were looking for someone specific. They weren't dressed for a wedding, more like they'd come from an office meeting. Tyler saw them and grabbed Emma's hand so hard she winced. Jake backed away from the altar and actually started moving toward the side exit. My dad whispered to my mom asking if those men were Tyler's relatives, but she shook her head, looking just as confused as everyone else. The 3 men walked straight down the aisle, and people started shifting uncomfortably in their seats. One of the men pulled out his phone and showed something to the officiant, who looked shocked and immediately stepped back. Tyler let go of Emma's hand and his whole body language changed. He looked trapped, glancing between the side exits and the men approaching. Emma was asking what was going on, her voice getting louder and more panicked. The lead guy in the suit reached the altar and said Tyler's full name, followed by words I couldn't quite hear from where I sat, but then I saw it. The badge. All 3 men had badges clipped to their belts. My stomach dropped as Tyler put his hands up slowly, and Jake tried to make a run for the side door, but 2 uniformed officers I hadn't even noticed were already blocking it. Emma started screaming, asking what was happening, and Tyler's groomsmen were all being corralled by more officers who seemed to materialize from nowhere. My mom grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise, and guests were pulling out their phones to record everything. The lead detective, because that's clearly what he was, started reading Tyler his rights right there at the altar while Emma collapsed into her maid of honor's arms, sobbing. The church erupted in chaos with people shouting and trying to figure out what crime had just been interrupted. And that's when the detective announced exactly what Tyler and his groomsmen had been doing for the past 6 months. The rest of the story is on my channel, or linked below. Money laundering, the detective announces, his voice echoing through the church. Tyler Wilson and his groomsmen have been operating a sophisticated money laundering operation for the past 6 months, moving funds for the Castillo cartel through a series of shell companies disguised as wedding vendors. The collective gasp from the wedding guests is like a physical force. Emma sways on her feet, her white dress suddenly seeming to weigh 1,000 pounds. Her bouquet hits the floor with a soft thud, white roses scattering across the altar steps. I leap from my seat, pushing past my stunned parents, but I'm not fast enough to catch her before she crumples to the ground. Emma! I reach the altar just as the officers are handcuffing Tyler. His face is expressionless now, the nervous twitching replaced by cold resignation. Don't touch her, one officer warns me as I kneel beside my sister. The dress may contain evidence. Emma's eyes flutter open, mascara-stained tears streaming down her cheeks. What's happening? This is a mistake. Tyler wouldn't. Ma'am, please step back, the lead detective says, not unkindly. 2 female officers approach, helping Emma to her feet while keeping a firm grip on her arms. She's not under arrest. Not yet, but they're treating her like she might bolt at any second. All around us, phones are out. The church has transformed into a forest of raised arms, everyone recording the moment my sister's wedding became a crime scene. I spot Mrs. Henderson from down the street live streaming the whole thing, her mouth forming a perfect O of scandalized delight. Their parents knew, someone whispers loudly behind me. I turn to see one of the officers speaking to my mother. Tyler's parents fled the scene before we arrived. They've been tipped off. That explains their sudden exit. They weren't overcome with emotion, they were escaping arrest. Jake is being led out in handcuffs, his attempted escape thwarted. Marcus and the other groomsmen are already outside, being loaded into separate police vehicles. Through the stained glass windows, I can see the flashing lights of at least a dozen police cars and what looks like news vans arriving. Emma's sobbing intensifies as Tyler is escorted past her. Tyler, tell them this is all a mistake! Tyler finally looks at her, his expression unreadable. Call Sanchez, he mutters. He'll know what to do. The detective leading Tyler away raises an eyebrow. Interesting. Add that name to the list. Outside, the scene is chaos. Guests pour out of the church into a gauntlet of reporters and flashing cameras. Someone shoves a microphone in my face as I follow the officers escorting Emma. Are you related to the bride? Did you know about the criminal activity? How does it feel to have your sister's wedding turn into a federal case? I push the microphone away, wrapping a protective arm around Emma's shoulders. Her entire body is trembling. My sister has nothing to do with this, I say firmly, though I have no idea if that's true. The thought that Emma might be involved makes me sick to my stomach. We need to take you all down to the station for questioning, the lead detective explains, guiding us toward an unmarked car. My parents follow, my mother crying quietly while my father looks shell-shocked. Standard procedure in cases like this. Cases like what? I demand. My sister was getting married. That's not a crime. The detective's face softens slightly. We've been tracking this operation for 6 months. The timing wasn't our choice. We had to move when we confirmed the money was being moved today. At the police station, they separate us. Emma is taken to an interview room, still in her wedding dress, dress. My parents and I are placed in a waiting area with hard plastic chairs and fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look ill. Emma couldn't have known, my mother insists, clutching my father's hand. She would have told us if something was wrong. But I remember the way Tyler checked his watch, the nervous groomsman, Jake's attempted escape. How could Emma not have noticed anything strange? 3 hours later, a female detective brings Emma to us. Her makeup is completely gone, eyes red and swollen from crying. Tyler is innocent, she says immediately, collapsing into the chair beside me. This is all a terrible misunderstanding. The detective who brought her in clears her throat. Miss Wilson, we found $50,000 in cash sewn into the lining of your wedding dress. My mother gasps. My father puts his head in his hands. That's impossible, Emma stammers. I didn't know anything about that. The dress was altered last week. Tyler's mother recommended the seamstress. We've been watching them for 6 months, the detective continues. The wedding was the perfect cover. Legitimate reasons for large cash transfers, multiple vendors, gifts, travel arrangements, all excellent vehicles for laundering money. But why today, I ask? Why not arrest them before the wedding? We needed to catch them all together with the evidence. The ceremony was when the final transfer was happening. She looks at Emma with something like pity. The ring exchange wasn't just symbolic. Emma stares down at her bare ring finger. The officers had taken both rings as evidence. Tyler won't speak to us without his lawyer present, the detective adds, but his associates are already starting to talk. I suggest you all prepare yourselves for what might come out. Emma looks up, her face suddenly hard. I want to see him. That's not possible right now. He's my husband, Emma shouts, standing up so quickly her chair topples backward. We said our vows. Actually, the detective says gently, the ceremony was interrupted before it was legally completed. He's not your husband, Miss Wilson. Emma sinks back down, the fight draining out of her. This can't be happening, she whispers. 6 months ago, he was proposing on the beach. He said he wanted to spend his life with me. 6 months ago. The exact time frame the detective mentioned for the money laundering operation. The coincidence makes my stomach turn. Emma, I say carefully, taking her hand. When did Tyler start acting different? Was there anything unusual about the wedding planning? She pulls her hand away, glaring at me. Don't you dare suggest he's guilty. But I can see it in her eyes, the first flicker of doubt, the first crack in her certainty. And I know this is only the beginning of our nightmare. The courtroom is packed for Tyler's bail hearing 3 days after the wedding disaster. News vans line the street outside, and I've had to dodge reporters just to get inside. Emma sits beside me, wearing oversized sunglasses that hide her puffy eyes but do nothing to disguise her identity from the whispers that follow us down the aisle. The defendant has ties to the Castillo cartel, the prosecutor announces, her voice carrying through the hushed courtroom. Evidence suggests Mr. Wilson has been laundering money for this organization since at least March of this year, coinciding with his engagement to Emma Wilson. Emma flinches beside me, her knuckles white as she grips the bench. I place my hand over hers, but she pulls away. Given the defendant's substantial financial resources and international connections, the state requests bail be set at $5 million. The judge agrees without hesitation. Tyler's attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit who appeared mysteriously this morning, doesn't even blink at the amount. The proceedings end quickly, and we're swept back into the chaos outside. Emma, did you know your fiancé was a criminal? Reporters shout, thrusting microphones toward us. Were you part of the money laundering scheme? A tabloid has already printed her wedding photo on their front page with the headline, Crime Bride, in bold red letters. Someone's selling t-shirts with her face on them outside the courthouse. This is insane, I mutter, shielding Emma as we push through the crowd toward our parents' car. Keep your head down. Back at my apartment, where Emma's been staying since they searched her place yesterday, she collapses onto the couch and finally removes her sunglasses. Her eyes are vacant, staring at nothing. My boss called this morning, she says flatly. I'm on administrative leave pending the investigation. They can't have someone associated with money laundering working at a financial firm. She laughs, but it sounds more like a sob. My whole life is falling apart because of something I didn't even do. My phone buzzes with a text from Dad. Have you seen the news? They found more cash in the wedding gifts. I don't show it to Emma. She's been through enough today. Emma, I say carefully, sitting beside her. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. She looks up, defensive already. I didn't know anything. Tyler proposed exactly 6 months ago. On the beach at sunset, remember? You called me screaming with excitement. So, that's the exact time the prosecutor says the money laundering operation started. Emma stands up abruptly. That's a coincidence. It has to be. Is it? Think about it, Em. The timing, the rushed wedding planning, the way his parents suddenly got so involved in every detail. Stop it. She's shaking now. Tyler loves me. This is all some terrible mistake. My phone rings. Unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Hello? It's Jake. The voice is hushed. Urgent. Tyler's best man. Don't hang up. I step into the kitchen, away from Emma. What do you want? To meet. There are things you need to know about your sister. If you have information, talk to the police. I can't. Not yet. His voice cracks. Look, Emma wasn't just some innocent bystander. She knew what was happening. My stomach drops. You're lying. The seamstress who altered her dress? That was Tyler's aunt. Emma went to 3 fittings where they discussed how to hide the cash. Ask her about the Sanchez account. I hang up, feeling sick. When I return to the living room, Emma is scrolling through her phone, tears streaming down her face. They're saying I'm gonna be arrested next, she whispers. Mom's getting calls from neighbors asking if I was the mastermind. I sit beside her, trying to keep my voice steady. Emma, who is Sanchez? She freezes, her eyes darting to mine, then away. I don't know. Tyler mentioned that name at the wedding. Call Sanchez, he said. The detective wrote it down. I told you. I don't know who that is, but her voice wavers. My phone buzzes again. A text from Mom. Prosecutor wants to meet with Emma tomorrow. Says they're offering immunity deal if she cooperates. I show it to Emma. Why would they offer you immunity if you weren't involved? Because they're desperate. They don't have anything on me because there isn't anything to find. But even as she says it, I can see doubt creeping into her expression. My phone pings with a news alert. Police find burner phone in groom's possession with texts to bride about packages and deliveries. Emma snatches my phone, reading the article. Her face crumples. Those were about wedding gifts, she whispers, but she doesn't sound convinced anymore. Emma, I say gently, if there's anything you need to tell me, now's the time, before things get worse. She's quiet for so long I think she won't answer. Then finally, she looks up at me, tears streaming down her face. There were signs, she admits, things that didn't make sense. Tyler suddenly had all this money for the wedding. Cash deposits I wasn't supposed to ask about. Late night phone calls he'd take in the bathroom with the shower running. Why didn't you say anything? Because I didn't want to know, she cries. I was getting my dream wedding, my dream life. If I asked questions, it might all disappear. She buries her face in her hands. God, I'm such an idiot. Did you know about the money in your dress? I ask, dreading the answer. No, I swear I didn't. But she hesitates. I knew something wasn't right. Tyler's mom insisted on that seamstress. She was so strange during the fittings, always asking me to leave the room while she made special adjustments. My parents arrive an hour later, looking exhausted. Dad's hair seems to have gone grayer overnight. The family's divided, Mom says, sinking into an armchair. Your aunt thinks Emma must have known everything. Your uncle is defending her to anyone who'll listen. I didn't know everything, Emma says quietly, but I think I ignored a lot of red flags. Dad looks at her, his expression a mixture of disappointment and concern. The prosecutor called again. They found text messages, Emma, between you and Tyler, discussing pickup locations and drop times. Those were about wedding vendors, Emma insists, but her voice lacks conviction. They also found a bank account, Mom adds, not meeting Emma's eyes, in your name, with deposits totaling over $30,000 in the last 3 months. Emma goes completely still. That's my wedding account, for vendor deposits. The deposits were all cash, Emma. No receipts, no paper trail. The room falls silent. Outside, a news helicopter hovers, its distant chopping a reminder that our family drama has become public spectacle. I need to tell you something, Emma finally says, her voice barely audible. I didn't know about the money laundering. I swear I didn't. But I did suspect Tyler was involved in something not entirely legal. And you still agreed to marry him? Dad asks incredulously. Emma looks down at her bare ring finger. I loved him. I thought whatever it was would stop after the wedding, that we'd have a normal life. My phone buzzes with another text. This one from the detective handling the case. We need to talk about your sister's involvement. New evidence suggests she wasn't just an innocent bystander. I show it to Emma, whose face crumples completely. What have I done? She whispers, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I wonder if my sister is truly as innocent as I want her to be. I drive Emma to the county jail the following morning, neither of us speaking much during the 30-minute drive. She's barely slept, the dark circles under her eyes making her look almost unrecognizable from the radiant bride she was supposed to be just days ago. I need to see him alone, she says as we pull into the visitor parking lot. Please. Emma, I don't think he's still Tyler, she interrupts, her voice cracking. Whatever he did, he's still the man I love. I need to hear his side without you or Mom or Dad judging every word. I want to argue, but can see the determination in her eyes. Fine, I'll wait in the car. Fine. The visitation process takes nearly an hour. I watch Emma disappear through the security doors, shoulders squared like she's preparing for battle. What I don't tell her is that the prosecutor called me last night, warning that all jail conversations are recorded. Whatever Tyler tells her won't be private, no matter what she believes. When she returns, her face is unreadable. She slides into the passenger seat and stares straight ahead. What did he say? I finally ask when the silence becomes unbearable. He says he loves me, she whispers, that everything will make sense soon. That's it? After everything that's happened? He told me to trust him. Her voice hardens. And to remember where we put the wedding planning binder. Something about her tone makes me uneasy. What's in the binder? Just planning stuff. She turns to look out the window. Can we stop by my apartment? I need to get some clothes since the police are finally done searching it. At her apartment, Emma heads straight for the shower while I wait in her living room. The place is a disaster. Drawers pulled out, furniture moved, even picture frames disturbed. The search was thorough. My eyes land on her wedding planning binder, sitting innocuously on her desk. I shouldn't look. It's her private planning, but Tyler specifically mentioned it. I flip it open, thumbing through vendor contracts and seating charts. Nothing seems unusual until I reach the budget section. The numbers don't add up. Vendor deposits listed as thousands more than their contracts show. Scribbled notes in the margins with initials and amounts. Dates that align perfectly with the prosecutor's timeline. What are you doing? I jump, slamming the binder shut. Emma stands in the doorway, hair wet from the shower, eyes blazing. That's private. Emma, I say carefully. There are transaction records in here, coded ones. It's wedding planning. Of course there are transactions. No. I reopen the binder, pointing to a page. This says $15K to MS for flowers, but your florist contract is only for $3,000. Where did the other $12,000 go? Her face crumples suddenly, and she collapses onto the couch beside me, burying her face in her hands. Her body shakes with silent sobs. Emma, please, I whisper, putting my arm around her. I need to know what's going on. I didn't know everything, she finally says, voice muffled through her fingers. I swear I didn't, but I suspected. Suspected what? She looks up, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Tyler started getting all this cash about 6 months ago, said it was bonuses from work. I believed him at first, but then things got weird. The wedding vendors kept changing. His mom insisted on handling certain arrangements personally. Did you know about the money laundering? Not exactly. She wipes her eyes. I thought maybe he was doing something under the table, like trading stocks with inside information. Something white collar, but not cartel level. Why didn't you say something? Ask questions. Because I loved him, she cries. Because I wanted to believe he was doing it for us, for our future. And because what, Emma? She looks away. Because some of that money went into my account. For the wedding, for the honeymoon. I told myself it was just Tyler being generous. My heart sinks. So you did know. Not everything, she insists. Not about the cartel, not about the dress. But yes, I knew something wasn't right, and I ignored it. My phone rings. It's Detective Rivera, the lead on Tyler's case. I step into the kitchen to answer. We need to talk, he says without preamble. Tyler's lawyer just offered a plea deal. He's willing to give up names higher in the organization in exchange for reduced charges. That's good, right? There's a catch. Part of his deal involves claiming your sister was the mastermind, that she used the wedding planning as cover and recruited him into the operation. My blood runs cold. That's insane. Emma's not a criminal mastermind. Maybe not, but she has a finance degree, works at an investment firm, and has a previously spotless record. Makes for a convincing narrative to a jury. I hang up and return to Emma, who's leafing through the binder with trembling hands. Tyler's throwing you under the bus, I tell her. His plea deal involves claiming you were behind everything. She doesn't look surprised. He said something might happen. That I should be prepared. Emma, this is serious. They could put you away for years. I know. She closes the binder. There's something else I need to show you. She leads me to her bedroom and pulls out her laptop. A few clicks later, she's logging into an online banking portal I've never seen before. This is the account Mom mentioned, the one with cash deposits. The balance shows over $45,000, far more than the $30,000 our mother mentioned. I opened it for wedding expenses, Emma explains, but Tyler kept depositing cash, said it was easier than writing checks. Emma, this looks really bad. I know. She closes the laptop. I was stupid. So stupid. That night, we gather at our parents' house for what Dad calls a family intervention. Mom's been crying. Her eyes are puffy and red. Dad looks like he's aged a decade in 4 days. We need to know everything, Emma, Dad says firmly. No more half-truths. Emma sits on the couch, hands folded in her lap. I suspected Tyler was involved in something illegal, but I didn't know what exactly. I accepted money from him knowing I shouldn't have. I ignored red flags because I wanted the fairy tale. Mom makes a small, wounded noise. The prosecutor offered me a deal, Emma continues. If I cooperate fully, testify against Tyler and the others, they'll recommend probation instead of prison time. You need to take it, Dad says immediately. It's not that simple. Emma looks up, her expression haunted. Tyler's associates have been calling. They think I know where some money is hidden. They've made threats. My blood runs cold. What kind of threats? The kind where they describe exactly what Mom was wearing when she went grocery shopping yesterday. Emma's voice shakes. The kind where they know which coffee shop you go to every morning. Dad stands up, pacing. We need police protection. I've already spoken to Detective Rivera, I say. He thinks Emma should wear a wire to her next jail visit with Tyler. Get him to talk about the operation, the threats, everything. No way, Mom protests. It's too dangerous. It's our best option, I argue. If Emma gets Tyler on tape, admitting to the money laundering and threatening her family, the prosecutor will have leverage for a better deal. Emma nods slowly. I'll do it. The next day, Detective Rivera fits Emma with a nearly invisible wire while explaining how to steer the conversation. Get him talking about the operation, names, dates, amounts, and if he mentions threats against your family, that's even better. Emma looks terrified but determined. What if he figures out I'm wearing a wire? The visit will be monitored. We'll intervene if necessary. I watch from the observation room as Emma enters the visitation area. Tyler looks thinner, his orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. His face lights up when he sees her. You came back, he says, reaching for her hands across the table. Of course I did, Emma replies, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. I need answers, Tyler. Baby, I'm so sorry about all this, but you need to trust me. Sanchez will make this all go away if we just stay quiet. Sanchez? Emma prompts. The one you mentioned at the wedding? Tyler leans forward. He runs everything. The whole operation. The money we were moving was just a fraction of what he handles. Our wedding was just a cover, wasn't it? Emma's voice cracks convincingly. You never really loved me. That's not true, Tyler insists, squeezing her hands. I love you more than anything. This wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to be in Bali right now, remember? Then why did you tell your lawyer I was the mastermind? Emma pulls her hands away. They told me about your plea deal. Tyler's face hardens. They're lying to you. I would never do that. Your lawyer called the prosecutor yesterday. I've seen the offer. Then someone's trying to set us against each other. Tyler glances around nervously. Listen to me. Sanchez has people everywhere. Police, courthouse, even your building. That's how we know what your family's doing. If you cooperate with the cops, we're both dead. Emma's face pales. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting you, Tyler hisses. There's $5 million in cash that Sanchez can't find. He thinks you have it. If you don't deliver, he'll come after your family first, then you. I don't have any money, Tyler. The wedding gifts, the envelopes. Remember? We moved them to your storage unit the night before the wedding. Emma's eyes widen with genuine shock. You hid cartel money in our wedding gift envelopes? Tyler realizes he's said too much. He stands abruptly. This conversation is over. Don't come back unless you're ready to help me fix this. As guards lead him away, he calls over his shoulder. Remember what I said about your family. Sanchez doesn't make empty threats. In the observation room, Detective Rivera removes Emma's wire with a satisfied expression. We got him. Admission of knowledge about the operation, the money, and threats against your family. This is exactly what we needed. Emma collapses into a chair, shaking. He used our wedding to move drug money. Our entire relationship was a lie. I put my arm around her shoulders. What happens now? Now, Rivera says, we protect your sister while she helps us take down an entire criminal network. The morning of Emma's plea deal, I sit in the back of a crowded courtroom, watching my sister's hands tremble as she signs away her old life. Her attorney, a stern woman named Miss Patel, points to each signature line with methodical precision while Emma's pen hovers uncertainly before each stroke. By accepting this agreement, Miss Patel explains quietly, you're committing to full cooperation with the investigation, including testimony against Mr. Wilson and his associates. Emma nods, her face pale but resolute. And my family will be protected? The U.S. Marshals will implement security protocols immediately. Your parents' home will have surveillance, and your sister's apartment as well. I catch Emma's eye across the room, trying to convey strength I don't actually feel. Just 3 days ago, someone left a dead rose on my doorstep with a note reading, Sanchez remembers. The police said it was likely just intimidation, but we all sleep with one eye open now. The prosecutor, a sharp-featured man named Donovan, approaches our bench. Miss Wilson has made the right decision. Her testimony will be crucial in dismantling the Castillo operation. He glances at Emma with something between pity and suspicion. The witness protection program is prepared to relocate you after the trial. Relocate? My mother's voice cracks from beside me. For how long? Potentially permanently, Donovan says, not sugarcoating it. The Castillo cartel cartel doesn't forgive betrayal. My father's hand finds mine, squeezing so tightly it hurts. The weight of what's happening crashes over us. Emma isn't just losing her fiancé and her reputation, she's losing her entire identity. 2 weeks later, the trial begins. The courthouse is surrounded by media vans and curious onlookers. Inside, security is military tight, with armed marshals positioned at every entrance. Emma has been staying in a safe house, only brought to court under heavy guard. When she takes the stand, she looks different. Her hair is pulled back severely, her clothes plain and dark, as if she's already practicing for a life where she can't stand out. Tyler sits at the defense table, watching her with an expression I can't read, something between betrayal and calculation. Miss Wilson, the prosecutor begins, please explain your relationship with the defendant. Emma's voice is steady as she recounts meeting Tyler, falling in love, his proposal 6 months ago. Then her testimony shifts to the strange patterns she noticed. The unexplained cash, the secretive phone calls, the wedding vendors who changed repeatedly. Did you confront Mr. Wilson about these suspicions? Once, Emma says. He told me it was a surprise for our future, that he was building something for us. Her voice catches. I wanted to believe him. When she describes the wedding day, the horror of watching Tyler being arrested at the altar, several jurors wipe away tears, but their sympathy visibly cools when Emma admits to accepting unexplained money, to ignoring obvious warning signs. I was willfully blind, she confesses, looking directly at the jury. I didn't want to see what was happening because I was afraid of losing everything I thought I wanted. Tyler's attorney is merciless during cross-examination, trying to paint Emma as the mastermind, questioning how someone with her financial background couldn't recognize money laundering. But the recorded jail conversation demolishes his strategy. Tyler's own words about Sanchez, about the threats, about the wedding gifts filled with cash. The trial lasts 3 weeks. I attend every day, watching my sister's life dissected and displayed for public consumption. Our parents age visibly under the strain, especially when the prosecution plays recordings of Tyler discussing Emma's involvement. Even knowing the context, hearing him say, "She knew enough," makes my stomach turn. On the day of the verdict, the courtroom is packed. Emma sits beside her attorney, hands clasped tightly in her lap. When the jury foreman stands, the room goes completely silent. On the count of money laundering, we find the defendant, Tyler Wilson, guilty. The list continues. Conspiracy, wire fraud, criminal enterprise. Guilty on all counts. Tyler shows no emotion, but his mother sobs quietly in the front row. Emma's face remains carefully blank, though I see her shoulders slump slightly with relief. At the sentencing hearing a month later, Tyler receives 15 years. His cooperation leads to arrests throughout the Castillo organization, including the mysterious Sanchez, who turns out to be a former banking executive who masterminded the entire operation. Emma's sentencing is a quiet affair, with minimal press. Thanks to her cooperation, she receives 5 years of probation and a fine. What the judge doesn't announce publicly is the rest of her sentence. A new name, a new city, a completely new life. The night before Emma leaves, I'm allowed to visit her at the safe house. A marshal waits outside while we sit at a kitchen table that doesn't belong to either of us, drinking tea from mugs that will be packed away tomorrow. I won't be able to contact you, she says, her voice hollow. Not for a long time. Maybe never. I know. I reach across the table for her hand. Mom and Dad are struggling with it. They think I'm being punished twice. Emma's smile is sad. But honestly, I'm grateful. I get to start over. Clean slate. Will you be safe? As long as I follow the rules. She squeezes my hand. No contact with anyone from before. New job, new friends, new everything. We talk until midnight, reminiscing about childhood memories, carefully avoiding any mention of Tyler or the wedding or what might have been. When it's time for me to leave, we hug for so long the marshal knocks on the door to check on us. Take care of Mom and Dad, Emma whispers against my shoulder. Tell them I'm okay, even when you don't know if it's true. I will. I promise. Fighting back tears. I love you. Love you too. Always. I don't look back as I walk away. It's the last time I see my sister for 13 months. The text comes on a random Tuesday morning. The coffee shop on Maple has great blueberry muffins. Tuesday, 10 a.m. There's no name, no context, but somehow I know. I arrive early, scanning every face, my heart pounding. Then a woman sits across from me. Brown hair instead of blonde, glasses, different posture entirely. But those eyes, I'd know them anywhere. Hi, she says softly. Emma, I whisper. She winces slightly. It's Catherine now. Catherine Mills. We talk carefully, avoiding names or specific details. She tells me about her small accounting practice in a town she doesn't name, her apartment with a view she describes but doesn't locate. I tell her about our parents, how they've joined a support group for families separated by witness protection, how Dad has started painting to process his grief. Are you happy? I finally ask. She considers this, stirring her coffee thoughtfully. I'm peaceful. Starting over is hard, but there's freedom in it too. She leans forward. I'm building something legitimate, something real. No shortcuts, no looking the other way. No wedding plans? I ask, half joking. She laughs, and for a moment, I see my sister again beneath the careful disguise. Not for a long time. I'm getting to know myself first. When it's time to leave, we both know this meeting can't happen again anytime soon. It's too dangerous. Bends too many rules. Will you tell Mom and Dad? She asks. That you're okay? Yes. That we met? No. It would only make them want the same thing. She nods, understanding. Maybe someday, when it's safer. Maybe someday, I echo. Though we both know the Castillo cartel has a long memory. As we stand to leave, she hands me a small package. Don't open this until you're home. That night, alone in my apartment, I unwrap it to find a simple frame containing a pressed flower. Not a rose or anything wedding related, but a forget-me-not. Beneath it, a note in handwriting that's deliberately different from my sister's. Some fresh starts require forgetting. Others require remembering what matters most. I place the frame on my bedside table, a secret reminder of the sister who disappeared but found herself in the process. Emma is gone, but Catherine is building something new from the ashes of a wedding that was never meant to be. And somehow, despite everything, I find myself grateful that the worst day of her life became the first day of her freedom.